Rijeka, a city that has always stood at the intersection of history, culture, and change. The topic of movies and books, as well as the birthplace of multiple successful scientists, political figures, artists, and inventions, with some being as revolutionary as the torpedo. Today, it is the third largest city in Croatia, counting almost 110,000 residents, but its importance goes far beyond size. For centuries, Rijeka has been shaped by different empires, political systems, and cultural influences, each leaving behind its own mark on the city. The Habsburgs, Italy, Austria, Hungary, Yugoslavia. Traces of foreign governance, language, and culture show the importance of this city. Even from ancient times, this city was renowned for its many freshwater sources and excellent naval placement. Walk past the Baroque facade, and you might sense Austro-Hungarian styles. Cross a street lined with modernist apartments, and the mark of Italian rule is visible. And yet, further from the busy center that was established even in the Middle Ages and laced with Roman historic sites, industrial influence, shipyards, docks, and planned blocks for industry workers are the furthest thing from uncommon. And even with all the historical tension and cultural differences, out of all things, Rijeka has won itself an artistic reputation. In fact, Rijeka's layered and often turbulent history has not only shaped its streets and identity, but continues to inspire contemporary art, including the award-winning documentary Fiume Morte, which received major international recognition, such as the European Film Award for Best Documentary, and was selected as Croatia's official submission for the Academy Awards, further highlighting the city's enduring cultural significance. From the powerful rock music scene of the late 20th century to becoming the European capital of culture for the year 2020, Rijeka could not exist without artistic expression, and that is often honored through festivals, museums, and plaques. But one of the most subtle ways Rijeka records its history is through the names of its streets. Here, you do not merely walk through names of citizens and politicians, but painters, writers, composers, scientists, and so much more. There are even entire neighborhoods dedicated to the arts, streets that commemorate painters, sculptors, and writers who shaped not just the city, but Croatia's cultural identity. For example, you might stumble across Meštrović Street, honoring one of Croatia's most internationally celebrated sculptors and architects of the 20th century, Ivan Meštrović. His expressive, monumental works are remembered not only on the streets of Zagreb, Split, Belgrade, and Chicago, but are now embedded into the very geography of Rijeka. And it is no coincidence that this street sits right next to streets named after Mate Celestin Medović and Vladimir Becić, both renowned Croatian painters. And famous names within the streets of Rijeka are no rare thing. Writers such as Viktor Car Emin, scientists like Milutin Barac, as well as many Croatian kings and rulers from over 1,000 years ago, are all commemorated within the street names. Yet, among all these streets celebrating kings, artists, and scientists, another thread emerges, that being music. Yes, right next to streets named after literal kings that shaped the history of our nation, Rijeka puts musicians. Take one of the most prominent example, Street of Ivan Matetić Ronjgov. Ronjgov is mostly known as a composer, but he wasn't exactly ordinary in that line of work. He was an ethnomusicologist who dedicated his life to preserving the traditional music of Istria and the surrounding regions. In a time when modernization threatened to erase centuries of folk melodies, he carefully transcribed and documented them, capturing irregular scales and harmonic structures that are unlike anything found in Western classical music. He fixed the Istrian scale, a tone sequence of 6 tones and semitones, and put forward a thesis about 2 basic types of Istrian folk melodies, and he even proposed 2 possible harmonizations of the Istrian scale, all new and exciting findings for the world of music. Ronjgov also founded multiple music schools, preserving the gift of music for future generations. This city, in honoring him, demonstrates that music here is more than performance. It is identity, history, and cultural continuity. That's also why, besides the street, the most prominent music school in the center of Rijeka bears just his name. Of course, national identity and music could not both be mentioned without talking about the national anthem. Lijepa naša domovino is the official national anthem of Croatia, and while it was later composed into the melodic anthem we know today by Josip Runjanin, the original poem was written by Anton Mihanović, who just so happens to have a street named after him here in Rijeka. I think we are sensing a pattern here. This focus on music ultimately brings us to one of Rijeka's most remarkable landmarks, the Croatian National Theatre of Ivan Meštrović. The theater was constructed in the late 19th century, during a time when Rijeka sought to assert its cultural significance. Modeled after the theaters in Zagreb and Vienna, it is extravagant and ornate. Its red velvet seats, gilded balconies, sparkling chandeliers, and grand stage make it a core community spot. And it is exactly that, a spot for community. Although the theater has changed its name 7 times since the opening on the 3rd of October 1885, the theater was always known as the Theater of the People. Walking inside, one is struck by the sense of scale. The design reflects ambition, civil pride, and the enduring belief that art, particularly music, deserves a monumental space. Even after more than a century, the theater continues to host operas, ballets, and concerts, maintaining a continuity of cultural life that connects Rijeka's present with its past. And at this point, it is no surprise that to reach this beating heart of the city's music scene, you would walk down Verdi Street. Giuseppe Verdi, of course, was a composer of monumental influence. His works like La Traviata, Rigoletto, Joan of Arc, Falstaff, and Aida are dramatic, emotional, and politically acclaimed, reflecting the turbulent history of 19th century Italy, which was, at the time, like many European nations, fighting for its independence. Verdi was not only one of the greatest minds of opera, but also a prominent political figure. He was even part of the Italian parliament and the central name for a very common political slogan of 19th century Italy, Viva Verdi, that actually meant long live the Italian king, which was a way to oppose the Austro-Hungarians. Verdi was, in fact, so famous and beloved by the people that a part of his opera, Nabucco, is often regarded as the unofficial Italian anthem. Many of his operas, though situated in the melodic bel canto style, carry a note of national pride and understanding for the realities of general people. For example, the libretto of Nabucco displays the events regarding the liberation of a Jewish group, while La Traviata speaks of the conflict of individual desire and societal expectation. The presence of his name in Rijeka is no coincidence, however. During periods of Italian rule, Italian culture dominated public life here, and opera was central to the city's artistic identity. And from Verdi's musical gifts to his ambitious fight for national freedom, to commemorate his name means to commemorate something absolutely inspiring, a message that relates to people at all times. Today, though, the theater still puts a great focus to Italian art and music. After all, it is the only national theater in all of Croatia with a permanent professional, Italian, though minority, ensemble. People of all ages still look to the theater schedule and spend their afternoons enjoying the many different types of plays showing at the theater. Therefore, since the first performance of the theater, that being Verdi's Aida, Verdi and other Italian geniuses have been a part of Rijeka in so much more than just name. The theater today bears the name of Ivan Zajc, a conductor, composer, and academic who was born in Rijeka in 1832. Zajc made great contributions to Croatian opera, writing great pieces such as Nikola Šubić Zrinski, a historical opera in Croatian, once again harboring the theme of national pride. Surrounding the Grand Theater, though, a network of streets commemorates other notable figures in Rijeka's musical history, creating a small musical neighborhood. Milka Trnina, a soprano whose voice once enchanted audiences across Europe, is, among others, honored here. During her life, she was one of the world's best opera singers, bringing her Wagnerian voice all the way from a small town near Zagreb, where she was born, to great theaters such as the Metropolitan in New York. Besides her incredible voice, Trnina is also mentioned as a branding inspiration for popular Milka chocolate. Verdi Street and Trnina Street both latch onto Matetić Street, named after Lovro von Matetić, a conductor and composer born in Rijeka and remembered for his interpretations of symphonic repertoire. And right next to Verdi, bordering both the theater and beautiful theater park, stands Vatroslav Lisinski, a composer known for writing the first Croatian opera, Ljubav i zloba, all the way back in 1846, another figure commemorated in the geography of our beautiful city. Therefore, all these streets named after figures like Lisinski, Trnina, Matetić, and Verdi form a cluster that acts like a musical hub right in the middle of the city, the elegant hotspot of culture and art for over a century. Even today, visitors flock to the theater. Young students attend their first ballets and operas with the company of their schools, while older audiences return to relive familiar arias or symphonies. And tourists, drawn in by the city's artistic reputation, step inside without always knowing the history of the streets they walked along to get there. Yet all are touched by the layers of musical and artistic heritage that surround them. The city of Rijeka does not merely preserve its musical past, it integrates it into everyday life. Street signs, plaques, statues, and theater programs are all so common here, even many locals fail to notice them. Still, Rijeka's dedication to music is not confined to famous names. The city also supports contemporary performers, local orchestras, and music schools. Ronjgov's melodies, Verdi's arias, Zajc's compositions, Lisinski's works, all coexist in memory in this intricate network of streets. And yet, Rijeka's musical life is not only about the past, it is about continuity and adaptation. Performances change, casts rotate, audiences fluctuate. The theater is in fact especially known for its tendency to collaborate with other, often international, performers and theater groups. But the thread connecting these experiences remains unbroken. Every street, every theater, every plaque reminds citizens and visitors alike that music is central to the city's identity. So, when you find yourself in the city that flows, remember to look up, as you may learn about the characters that made this city flow and flourish, through art, through music.